I have heard from a few of you that, like Bill and myself, you have a special occasion or event, oftentimes on Sunday evenings, that doesn't involve church. And I've actually been told by one individual, yes, Karen Rudrud, never to schedule anything on Sunday nights because of this sacred time. Some of you may know what I'm talking about. Downton Abbey. But as we come this day, my mind cannot help but go to this show called Downton Abbey and the stories of the Earl of Grantham and this royal family set in England and all that is transpiring there in the manor. Especially that last episode of this season. You see, it is there in that final episode of the season that we see things transpiring in incredible ways, and we see the tenuousness and the deep connection of life and of death. And always there is this hint of what is to transpire. I am mindful, as some of you may have recognized, this wonderful lady in the house, Lady Sybil. And as she is preparing to give birth to this child, there are these incredible conversations with her sisters and her mother. And as soon as that started happening, my stomach tensed up. It seemed like something was in the works. And of course, it comes to pass that the child is born, but Lady Sybil passes away. Similarly, at the very end of this season, there we have Matthew Crowley, this young, strapping lad who has married the eldest woman of the house, and they are giving birth to a child, and everyone is so excited about this new heir to the home. And then there's this poignant and beautiful moment between Matthew and his wife. And he's seen in his car racing down the road to share the good news. And I couldn't help but yell out, "Slow down!" There was that foreshadowing of what was to come. And as we arrive today, we are invited into that same moment to look at these characters who have been developed in front of us in this powerful Gospel of John, to hear again and again of what is transpiring, and this one who reaches out in love and compassion, where finally things are happening and everyone is excited. You see, Lazarus, this dear friend, has been raised from the grave, and people are connected with what is happening in Bethany. They are entrenched in a ministry. They believe that in Jesus they have found a promise and things are going to happen for them. And then we hear first of this minor plot that is rumbling through the crowd, that it's time for Jesus to just go away. He's making trouble here. People aren't believing in the old ways of doing things. They aren't paying homage to the corrupt system that is in place in the temple and the government, and they are believing that something new is emerging. There are those who want to squelch the hope, put it out before it gets too exciting for the people, and that they actually feel like they can do something. And so that is the background. And at this moment, Jesus goes into Bethany, a town that we have heard of before in the Gospels with regard to the raising of Lazarus, and he is brought into the home of Mary and Martha and Lazarus, and he sits at table with them. Now, for those of us who know the prior story, it's no surprise to see Martha at work and serving everyone as usual. And Mary, well, she seems to be flitting about, but she enters in with this costly perfume. This ointment, this nard. Now we find out that it's worth around 300 denarii. That means that this ointment is worth nearly 1 year's laborer's pay. Imagine that. What would it mean for you or for me to enter in with something that costs nearly $15,000 today? and to go up to Jesus and kneel down and start anointing his feet. $15,000. That's a couple used cars. That's a good improvement in the home. That's a lot that can be done for us. Or if we effectively shape our lives in other ways, it means that there's a whole lot more that can be done out there. There are food shelves that can be stocked. There are children that can be educated. There are wells that can be drilled in Haiti and Africa. There are so many malaria nets that can go across the people in Africa. There is a lot that can be done for $15,000. And Judas, on the one hand, lifts this up to say, Jesus, let's get this right. Let's put this money into our common purse so that we can take care of the poor. We really need to take care of the poor. Of course, we find out, and who knows how much of this is literary device from later on that is reinterpreted back into the story, but that Judas, as this betrayer of Jesus, has now also shared that he is stealing from the common purse. So that $15,000, while it could do a lot for the poor, maybe it might slide out in other ways also that Judas has his eye on as he's thinking about this. And I want to pause for a moment about this care for the poor, because there are two elements to this, and one is that we need to recognize Jesus is not saying, don't care for the poor. Jesus is not saying that. And unfortunately, tacitly, oftentimes in the Christian community, this has been used as a way of opting out of what we should be doing. Of saying, well, you know, Jesus said we'll always have the poor, so we don't have to do quite so much. We can hold back a little bit, or sometimes a lot. But rather what Jesus is saying, recognize this moment and what is happening. Mary already has this nard, this ointment, and she is coming to prepare me. She is getting that there is something incredible happening here amidst this foreshadowing that we are experiencing and living. That Mary is there saying, Jesus, I am present to